I see it. We're live.
I feel it.
We got some Whine Show music happening. We have our own music. That's cool. I tried to play Bruno Mars and Facebook shut me down. So.
Yeah, but you have to say, this is not my music, and they'll keep it. My friend he's been recording things, and every time they stop it.
Really?
If you say this is not my music, they let it stay.
I'll be darned.
Little life hack.
Well, this is like public domain music that I am claiming for the Whine Show.
Oh, claim it for the wine.
Hey, we've been live for 25 seconds.
We've been live. Everybody like and share it.
now.
That's right. Like and share it. Boom.
Share, look at that.
What is going on, guys?
Hey, this side of the room's looking good,
They
girl.
look always.
Yeah, look at that. We're looking good.
Yes.
5 second delay, too.
Share. We are live.
The pre-show wine was so good, Joe. Thank you.
Yes.
You had pre-show wine?
I had
Welcome to
pre-show
the
wine.
show, Facebook. You have joined the Whine Show where you can be friended and offended all in the same hour.
Look at that.
America, we have a problem. We have lost the ability to agree or disagree civilly. It's a big problem. Anybody that was around in the last election knows it, right? I call it the zero to Nazi effect. In any given disagreement, how long does it take to go from zero to you're a Nazi and I'm going outside to burn your car down, right?
But Joe has the answer.
That's right. We have the answer. This show is all about talking about everything that everyone ever says you're never supposed to talk about. It doesn't matter if it's religion, politics, sex, drugs, or rock and roll. We talk about it all, and we do it with a great glass of wine.
Cheers.
So, we're going to get the show started today over a great glass of Bull and Heifer.
What'd you call me? I'm offended.
Yes,
your mouth.
you should be. That's how I meant it. Bull and Heifer. This is a great California Cabernet Sauvignon. I'm not going to spoil it. We had it last night at a wine tasting event. At the end of the show, we're going to rate the wine and let you guys know how it is. But I already tell you, I know my opinion is on this is that I enjoyed it. I'll let you know how much when we get to the end of the show. Cabernet Sauvignon, Bull and Heifer, that's the name of the wine. And we get these wines from our amazing wine club that we are a member of. I'm a member of. David's a member of.
What's the rule?
Everybody talks about wine club.
Number one rule.
That's right. Talk
That's
about
right.
wine club.
First rule of wine club, right? Everybody talks about wine club.
Joe, watch out,
So,
man. I'm feeling plunky tonight. You better watch out.
it's going to get feisty.
It's gonna get
It's going to
feisty
get feisty. Listen, we are only
Monica.
talking about marijuana and whether or not marijuana should be legal.
What?
Yes.
What's marijuana?
What's marijuana?
That stinky.
Yes. So, look, guys, you are as much part of this show as the guest on the show. Be sure to chime in with your thoughts. We're going to address some of the top points, top comments as they come up during the show, and we'll discuss them. So I appreciate you being on the show, being a part of this mission. Like the page. If you haven't already liked it, be sure to share it with your friends because we're on a mission to save America one civil conversation at a time. Now, I'm going to start pouring this fantastic wine, but I want to do a special introduction. I'm trying to bring on new artists in Houston, not necessarily new artists, to bring on artists, local artists from Houston, Texas, right here in Houston, greatest city in the greatest nation on earth. We only call ourselves a state because we're humble like that. So that's how we roll. So I'm going to introduce Stephanie over here, and she is going to tell you all about this amazing piece right above my head that she painted I think just prior to the show, not too long ago. Yes. So, and she's going to tell you how to reach out to her to purchase some of her amazing artwork. The pieces start out at around $20,000. So, you guys.
We'll give a discount if you mention
Right.
that she was on the show.
She'll give a discount if you mention the show. I think it brings it down to like $2,000.
At
So,
least.
yeah, something like that.
With
So
a small
I'm going to start
cut.
pouring the wine. Stephanie, tell us all about this piece and how they reach you, and so that we can post it in the feed, which my daughter will be on, who's running production behind the camera, and so that people can reach out to you. And then shameless plug, anything you want to mention.
Cool. Well, my name is Stephanie Pitts, aka Steph Pie Art, And I did actually just finish this. I always just finish my piece like right before they're due. But I've been in a gold leaf phase, so this is my second piece actually on the show.
Yes.
They've both been gold leaf.
Love them both.
And I don't have a name for it yet, honestly. But I did give my contact information. I think they're posting it right now, actually. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, my daughter is already on it.
Yeah,
Look at
she's
that.
on it.
She's
Holy
good.
cow.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're paying her, but you got to pay her more, Joe.
Yes. Whatever I'm
He paid
paying you,
her
double
live.
it.
He paid her live.
Yes.
Later.
Don't you go there. Don't you go there now.
Hey, wine no wine,
That was
David.
pre-show conversation.
Wine no wine, David.
For those who are just tuning in, we drink heavily before the show
You guys have
and talk
wine?
about all sorts of
I
stuff.
only had the heifer.
Wine and issues. What could go wrong?
He's the bull, she's the heifer.
That sounds like my birth
That just
certificate.
happened.
I didn't send you my birth certificate.
Oh, okay, so I'm sorry, we were totally hogging up Stephanie's time. Stephanie, tell us more about your picture, please.
Well, that was actually it, but I do have a shameless plug.
Shameless plugs.
My dear artist friend, Crystal Lalego, I don't know how to say her name because she pronounces it differently, but she's she's actually an artist at Jomar Visions with me. We're both in residence artists there, and she's actually having her solo show on the 26th, and I have the honor of producing her fashion show and doing the choreography for it. So you guys should check it out. All you have to do is Google The Art of My Soul. On Eventbrite to RSVP. It's a free event. There's going to be food trucks. She has a lot of musicians performing. The runway show, obviously, where she does custom purses, and also Pamela McKinney does jewelry that they'll be featuring. And we have DJs, and we just got a host. Her name is, I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. But we just got her last night, but she's really awesome. The whole show is just now coming together. But yeah, y'all
I
Oh,
should
know
check
someone
it
you
out.
need to contact, by the way. I happen to know someone pretty well that you need to contact.
Who's that?
That comes in the shameless plug section.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shortly.
Yes.
The Art of the
I will
Soul.
tell you.
Yes,
I
Art of
will, I
my
will
Soul.
tell you. I haven't seen Pamela's art, the jewelry stuff. I have seen Crystal's stuff, and I want to get her on the show because of all the artists that are connected with that studio, Jomar Visions, who I'm a big fan of, Joanna and Mark, great people. Of all the artists I've seen over there, she was one of my favorites. Before I even knew who she was, just roaming around and seeing art hanging around, I was like, oh my God, I love this. This is really awesome. So I really want to try to get her on the show.
Yeah.
Please tell her to, let's
Crystal,
connect.
if you're watching.
Crystal, if you're watching, I want to get her stuff on the show because it is really, really cool. And she has some amazing stuff. So anyway, that's Stephanie. Thanks for being
Thanks
on
for
our
having
show.
me.
And guys, be sure to look her up. Check out her artwork. Support local art. Art and wine to me go together. And art to me
Crystal's here.
and wine is all about bringing out the beauty of life. And our minds, the way our minds work, is that what we dwell on in our mind becomes more visible to us in the world around us. And what we dwell on, if we dwell on the evils of life and just the dredges of life, then our mind becomes more adept at seeing those. So I have artists on the show because they're all about trying to bring out the beauty of life and that sort of thing. And to me, that's just it needs to be expanded upon.
Joe, I don't know if it's still a thing, but I know a couple of years ago, and it might still be a thing, it may not be as big of a thing, or I've lost out on it, but it's called Support Local, Grow Together. And it's been a Houston movement. It's just like
Wow.
supporting everybody
Awesome.
here, and we grow together like we're Houston.
I'm totally down with
We're
that.
Houston.
That's
so,
our first clink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our first
Ready?
thing.
First
So,
First
all right.
thing.
We're going to launch the show. Cheers to another great show. Yeah.
Very good.
All right. I love it. And today, guys, we are talking about, it's kind of interesting. It's the first time I did it. I posed a question out to the audience. And the question, it was what should we talk about on the show, right? And you guys voted on, as an audience, a number of different topics. And your topic was the topic that won out. Not just, as an audience did y'all pick the topic, but the guest on the show also selected this as the topic. So, this is going to be a very interesting topic, and I definitely want to see some conversation from the audience, people chiming in. Ed Camp, thanks for tuning in.
Sup, Ed?
Lena, thanks for tuning in. Stephanie was just here. Crystal, oh, hey, Crystal. I didn't even know you were
Hey,
watching.
Jordan, what's up?
I want to have you on the show, Crystal.
Freddy's on there too.
Yeah, hey, Freddie just tuned in.
Jordan, right back up. Thank you.
Jordan, thanks for tuning in. Latoya,
and
thanks
no
for tuning
offense,
in.
but-
Tiffany, thanks for tuning in. Ken, thanks for tuning in. We got a lot of folks.
No offense, but the Crystal who spells her name the right way is also on too. The Kristall.
Yeah.
The honey badger is watching the show too. That's my wife.
Yeah.
She don't
The
give a
honey
shit.
badger.
Crystal,
That's
the
a-
artist, you have to understand that he will get in trouble if he doesn't say that. So, you know,
Hey, Angela.
he's
look
just
who's on there.
CYA-ing, if you know what I mean.
Big
CYA-ing.
time.
That's
Big
right.
time.
All right. So today's show, we're going to be talking about. You guys selected the topic, and that is: should marijuana be legal? Right? We've had in the last couple years here a number of states, especially after the last election, a number of states that have legalized marijuana, and so it's now a thing in the United States. And I'm not giving away my position in saying this. I'm just posing it as a statement. At one point in America, slavery was legal. At one point in America, abortion wasn't legal. All right. So just because something is or isn't legal currently doesn't necessarily mean it should or shouldn't be. And so when we talk about these topics, just for the fact that it's illegal in a bunch of different states, doesn't mean that's what's best for America. And so that's what we're talking about today. We're going to get some back and forth on this subject and get some feedback. And you guys are a part of the show. We want to see your comments. So we're going to start off just by giving each of the panelists here, first of all, their introduction, who they are, a moment for a shameless...
A shameless plug.
A moment for a shameless plug if they want to promote something, because everybody here is here for free and doing this just for fun, so I like to give them the opportunity to promote something if they want to. So bear with us and introduce yourself. Freddie, you're going to start off, and then give us pro or con in a real quick, less than a minute, why you're a pro or con.
Okay, so introduction. Freddy Georges, Houston Young Professionals. And I want to thank Joe for inviting us out here to participate. And I'm pro because we've been living in a society where it's been con. We have an issue where people are in jail and prison for prolonged periods of time. And it's not answering the question. It's not solving the problem. I'm wanting to know, is there a better answer out there? So that's why I'm pro, to learn to see. I'm ready to do a big social experiment, see if pro is a good way to go.
All right. Judy. Judy's ready to cheers already. I just think Judy is looking for any excuse to drink.
That's so not true.
I'll drink to that.
Right? So am I.
New hashtag. We'll go.
Hey, it's Friday, all right? Give us a break.
It's wine.
It's wine. That's
And it's
right.
5 o'clock.
So, Judy,
Okay.
who you are and where you stand.
I'm Judy Maldonado. I'm for pro, and my pro is because I have a lot of friends who have health issues, and they have to get marijuana. They have to order it illegally just to help their pain or whatever it is that they're going through. So I'm definitely a big pro for that.
Okay.
Management.
Pain management.
Definitely.
All right. Fair enough. Monica, who you are. Shameless plug. Where you stand.
Monica Branch, lifestyle expert / real estate agent for Houston. My last name is Branch, so I branch out. So when it comes to this stance on medical or just marijuana being legal or not legal, I absolutely say pro. There are cons. There's cons to everything because people will find them, but the pros actually are the benefit when it comes to saving lives. And my con is actually taxes. Just like cigarettes or anything else that's become taxable, it's become more of an issue and a problem for us than a healer. But I don't think, besides a few people taking advantage of the situation, that for the most part, this is here to heal and to help. And I'm not saying that people haven't gotten in trouble or done things because of marijuana, but is that law or is that nature? So I think that's something we have to talk about. And is the money more important
We will talk about
than
this.
taking care of people? So I'm pro.
The money is absolutely more important. All right, moving on.
Well, this is my last time on Joe's show. So, thank you, everyone. I branch out.
All about the money. David, who you are.
Who?
Shameless
Me?
plug.
Shameless plug? Are you
And
kidding
where
me?
you stand.
Do I ever have a shameless plug? do I ever not have a shameless plug. I've got a few.
I would be let down if you did.
You might want to get ready about the next 10 minutes of the show. I got this, all right? I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
You have more
stay
of this wine?
stay
You have
tuned
more
to this.
heifer?
Do you have any
You have another
more?
bottle?
All
I
right.
got some more heifer.
First of all,
All right, here,
shameless
Joe,
plug.
that's rude.
I'm
I can
going
hear you.
to do the shameless plug in chronological order, okay?
All right,
First
all right.
of all, where I'm going from here is I'm heading to Casa Nueva at 7 o'clock to perform live, as I do every Friday night, which is right there at 1960 in Kirkendall. I perform live vocals. The music is pre-recorded, so together you have almost live, right? It's almost live, and that's what we do. It's right there at Casa Nueva. Second thing I'm going to announce, yes, it's a dirty communist rumor that's been put out there, but unfortunately it's true. I have just begun my 50th journey around the sun as of this week. I'm 49 years old,
Wow,
so
happy
yes.
birthday.
It's
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you.
That's
So
right.
yeah, I'm going to confess up to that. On the previous appearance on the show, oh, by the way, one last shameless plug, I'm sorry, because you mentioned you're a realtor, so we need to talk, like we've already talked,
We've
right?
been talking.
Ironically-
And I'll still talk to you, even after the thing.
Ironically-
That's right, exactly right.
Check this out. We have a builder, a realtor, and a lender all on the show. We could like literally sell you a house, build you a house, and get you the loan.
And no
All
one
with
told
the
us
show
that
right here.
until right now.
We just found out.
We introduced
And-
ourselves with names, but not with careers. Weird.
May I say
We'll talk after the show.
that
Joe did that on
between
purpose.
me building your house and your realtor representation and the closing that would take place and the wine, it'll be a
Cheers.
hell of a
Yeah.
trip,
That's
right?
right.
All the closing.
Yes.
It'll be fun all along the way, right? Okay, so the last time I was on the show, I had stated the position that I was pro in terms of medical marijuana, but con in terms of its legalization. I've changed both positions. I am now I'm anti making a decision on both because my position, while I guess it would have to be categorized as con, merely because we don't know enough at this point. I think there's a lot of disinformation that is being put out there, and as much as the pro-marijuana people may not want to admit it, there is a marijuana lobby going on out there.
Yeah.
It should alert you when an institution such as the Old Gray Lady, the New York Times, agrees with you on a matter of liberty, that maybe it's not about liberty. So I'll jump off at that point because there's much more to talk about. But I will finish with saying this. As Joe was doing the introduction, it is such a privilege to be a part of this show, and I want to reiterate this, that we are all on here just as people. I had a chance to talk with Monica for about 45 minutes before the show. There's quite a few things that we quite boisterously, vehemently disagree on. But what a quality person. And this is what the show is all about, is how to esteem one
Yes.
another as individuals and still have our passionate disagreements without losing our dignity. The things we talk about in the show, you think about it, they're worthy of war. If you really think about
In
it,
other countries, they are war.
that's exactly right. In other
Very
countries, there are
deep
war.
rooted
Good point.
emotions.
But we do it in such a way that we maintain the value and dignity of one another and enjoy an awesome glass of wine. And Joe, I'm not kissing butt to say this, but kudos to you for the vision to put all this together. So another clink, my brother.
I hope there's a
Thank
clink
you,
and
thank you.
drinking game. This
Yeah,
night.
freaking game.
Clink and drinking game.
And I
I
will
like
confess
that.
that part of that is just because I want to take another sip of wine.
There you go.
Remember that the camera's right there, not at the TV.
So-
Oh, I know. I'm bad about that.
You know what's funny is that several really great ideas have come out throughout the beginning of the show, and I have no shame in stealing them. So,
Oh, I gotta
I
say,
didn't
there's
talk to
something
you about that.
I have a bone to pick on that, by the way.
No,
yeah,
Is this Steve's first time not to be on the show?
no, it's his third time.
Third time,
So, yeah.
Steve. I'm gonna tell you something. I love you, my brother, but you are not the original grape head. If I'm the one who came up with the term, you can't be the original grape head. I love you, but that's just the way it is, man. The original
Yes.
grape head is sitting right here, and then Joe stole it, so that makes him number 2.
Yes, true story, true story. So, shameless plug right now, guys. I steal ideas. One of the ideas that if you watch the show and you tune into the show, then you are officially a grape head.
Yes.
There you go.
Right? That's the idea. You support the show. So, having said that, you can go to our page and click on items or offers. Just scroll through whatever the heck the menu is. You'll see it, I promise you. And we have a t-shirt that you can pre-order that says, I'm a grape head. And on the back, it says, In Vino Veritas, which means in wine truth. Right? And so we're all about let's break open the bottle of wine, let's talk, let's get to know each other, let's talk about the tough subjects that people avoid so that we can show America what it looks like to be able to disagree without trying to kill each other. Right? I mean, that's really what it boils down
But
to.
we do have an empty bottle of wine at the end of the discussion, right?
Right.
Someone may die.
Sometimes we have an empty
Yeah.
bottle. Sometimes we have an empty
Bonus.
bottle and an empty box.
And so,
Yeah,
we're already 20 minutes into the show. I know you guys have been commenting and posting and that sort of thing. Ash, I don't know if you've snagged any comments. One comment. All right.
Wait.
All right. So I wanted to bring up a comment here. Robert Jeter III. He's going to be on the show coming up next month. Really cool guy. Looking forward to having him on the show. Robert said it was made illegal to destabilize ethnic communities. The government agencies behind that idea openly admitted legalized marijuana entirely. This
RJ3.
coming from a guy who has never smoked.
Way to go, RJ3.
Okay.
I believe that.
You know what? I hate government, so
I do
I practically believe anything that says government is
Government
evil.
thinks they can run our
I'll
lives
disagree
better
with
than
that,
we can.
but let me know when it's time.
Okay,
You
yes,
keep going.
and so Robert, great point. Give me some other con points here. I want to mention a couple opposing views. Our panel has all expressed, with the exception of David, that they're pro on this. So I want to mention a con. Here's a position for you. There really is no such thing as medical marijuana. A couple people have mentioned that they're pro marijuana for the medical situation. The dangers and risks of marijuana use are well known by the scientific community, and even if they are downplayed by corporate interests wishing to get rich off of legalization. So the idea that there's a medical marijuana and that's somehow different than regular marijuana, not necessarily true.
Says who, though?
It's the law. That's what makes it medicinal, says the law approves.
Right. It's just how it's
You going
applied.
to
Right.
jail saying you don't. We're in
Well,
California, we're
to
in
say
Denver.
there's no medical marijuana, who's saying that? And what interest do they have?
That's from physicians. Physicians saying, as far as how it affects the brain and
I
the body,
know-
there's no
know.
difference between medical and
regular marijuana.
Right.
So what's probably medical about it is how it's applied,
Yeah.
how it's prescribed. Now there comes the medical expertise in it.
Medical is how it's grown because there are different strands to grow. Because I've looked into it because I wanted
So
to know
it's-
what
so
is
maybe it's-
California.
And by the way, that
It's multiple.
opinion came from, and I'm really having a hard time seeing it because I'm blind, and my daughter's helping enlarge it as we speak.
32%.
That came from Stuart Gitlow, MD, MPH, MBA, former president of the ASAM Board of Directors. Testimony to the Senate Committee of the Judiciary.
Well, he has no credibility.
I don't know who the hell that
He
group
has
was.
way too many acronyms to have credibility.
Right.
Because he's never smoked a joint.
No credibility.
Yeah, you know that guy's never smoked weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I love whiskey and booze. I
How
love
about
booze.
that? Yeah.
Ah,
How
I'm
can
kidding.
he know if he's never tried?
Well,
Right.
there's two things on this real quick, and I'm not going to jump in
One
on
more
the
point,
position
Ash.
yet.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but one real quick. It's not only to Monica's point about how it's grown, but it's also how it is taken.
Right.
Because a lot of people are under the misconception that medical marijuana means you can smoke it, and in the medical community, that is not the case. It's not. There's never. Well, I shouldn't say never. I don't know that for a fact, but it's not widely prescribed as something to smoke, which is often how it's excused being imbibed.
Right. So you're talking about consumption of it.
Correct.
You know, another great example of another drug that is accepted is Adderall. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that
Isn't that prescribed cocaine?
it could be, right?
That's what I heard.
So Adderall people take it, you know, because they want to either lose weight, suppress their diet.
Right.
College kids take
Cocaine.
it because they
Cocaine.
want to study
Cocaine.
later and longer and have more of attention
It's a pill.
to
Cocaine.
whatever they're studying.
It's a
And then some people take Adderall because they have attention deficit disorder,
ADD,
a
right.
true medical need where that chemical imbalance is brought to balance.
Now, I will also toss out, and this is I'm throwing out some, what I have perceived, you guys, 3 of the 4 of you have been pro, so I'm throwing out some opposing things to think about and talk about, and you guys can kind of respond to this. So the first one was that there's really no difference between medical marijuana and marijuana as far as the impact and damage to the body. The second point that I want to make is...
So much drugs that does that.
It's fine. Okay, so
Hold
feel
on.
free
Yeah,
to
hold
respond.
on. But
So
Wine is good though. Wine is so good.
Wine is healthy for the body in the right
And your heart, and your heart.
Yeah, your heart, massively. I know some stats on this stuff because I'm a wine guy. Anyway, the second con I wanted to bring up is that while drunk driving is a major problem in society, I don't think anybody would disagree with that, despite all the stiff penalties and all that sort of thing, driving high is arguably a larger problem.
So you just said
And-
it's more socially acceptable to drive drunk than
No,
it is to
no,
drive.
no, hold on.
Hang
That's
on,
not what
hang
he
on.
said. Hold on.
So, I was gonna say,
There's no
it's
excuse
not what
to
he
be
said.
driving intoxicated or under the influence of any narcotic.
right. So
or
I
drugs.
don't disagree with that. I'm bringing this up to say it is much easier to detect somebody who is driving drunk. Like when you roll down the window, the alcohol smell, that sort of thing.
Well, you roll
But-
down the window, they're smoking a sweet
Right,
Swisher.
but hang on. But unless they
That's-
were smoking in the car, it's
Yeah.
much more difficult to detect.
I'm not gonna say buying it because it really sticks to your clothes.
Oh,
And your hair, everything. I mean, you can smell it.
It-
Well,
Yes.
but I'm going to jump in on this because, this is probably going to happen a lot because I know I'm the only one on this side, and I'm going to try to be mindful of that, okay, for time's sake. But here's the thing: one of the misnomers of the arguments posed by the pro-pot crowd is to say, well, marijuana stays in your system so long it's impossible to tell if you're intoxicated or not. And that's not the case. Yes, marijuana does stay in your system for a longer period of time, weeks and sometimes even months, depending on how much is being used. But the reality is there is a measure that is used to determine intoxication for marijuana, which is based on levels of THC in the blood.
Right.
So, like in states that have legalized marijuana, Colorado, for example, there's a certain amount of nanograms, 5 or 10 nanograms, whatever it is, that if it measures that in the bloodstream, then you are legally intoxicated by marijuana. Now, the danger of marijuana on the con side, this will be my first point that I offer, is that if you read a report I cited before by the Hudson Institute, it talks about the fact that this
they're
is
incredible.
yeah, I know you hate the source, right?
Yeah.
But no, the point is,
They're useless.
It's a neurotoxin with no safe dose. In other words, with alcohol, for example, you can generally say, and yes, there's a variance in how it affects you, but generally you can say if you take 1 drink of alcohol per hour based on the volume of alcohol, then there's a certain level at which you should be legally unintoxicated or intoxicated. There's a point in general that will affect us all based on body mass and weight and whatever not. But with marijuana, that's not the case because it depends on physiological makeup. I've learned this from the first show that we did on this. I've done a ton of research
Very
since then.
interesting. Okay.
The thickness of the fatty membrane that surrounds the brain
Mm-hmm.
is what depends on the effect, or what affects the effect, if I can say it that way, of how the THC affects you. So yes, that affects how long it's stored, how quickly it affects you, and so there's no way from one person to another to say, here's a safe dose of marijuana. Plus there is such a variance between what the amount of THC in the marijuana that any one given person may be using. Back in the late 60s and early 70s when this whole thing was first being visited, the marijuana content, the THC content in marijuana was about 4 to 5 times weaker than what we're seeing in today, which Joe thought
So
it was
you're saying
actually
it's stronger now.
it's stronger today. And so the effects that we're seeing over the prolonged use from the 70s to today, we're only just now beginning to see, and it's only going to get worse. And that will lead to another point I'll jump on later. I don't want to monopolize the time, but
No, but
that's
that
the
works,
thing you have
but
to.
they make strands. I've been to Colorado, and they're not like, hey, you want to do drugs? But they're like, hey, what do you need this for? They say, hey, do you have an ailment? So it's not just a strand and it gets worse. It's what do you need it for and what can you handle?
Right.
Because I thought they were very business. I've only been to Colorado the one time, and they were very business about it.
So you went straight there to buy weed?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Hey, it's legal.
The first step
It's
is
for the
admitting you have
lifestyle.
a problem.
It's for the lifestyle.
Hey, don't judge me.
So I went there for research.
One last
Research.
point. One last point, which Ken made, and I wanted to address this because it was a con, and it was an interesting kind of a con to throw out. Ken, good buddy of mine up in New York, watches the show. He said, as government looks for better ways to control the masses, marijuana could be an effective control substance. Could it be used to make us more docile as a society and present less of a threat to the current power structure?
No.
That is a really interesting,
No,
you
the
know.
answer
I,
is
I,
no.
I think
The
that's just
answer is no.
overthinking things.
It is overthinking things. Is go to the
and-
most
and-
people that are smoking and they are not in the powers that be, mostly, or rules and guidelines would have changed by now.
I don't think you'll see this big rush. I mean, you'll see.
What do you mean by that? They're not in the powers that be.
Well, right now, if the powers
Sorry.
that be were into something
okay.
that was socially acceptable, it would be all right. Because drinking, wasn't alcohol at one point prohibited?
Prohibition, yes.
Weird. And so now they're trying to control something else that they know would make other people okay.
But hang on, I'm taking the opposite side.
That's not
Could-
wrong, Joe.
Could so, and I'm trying. Ken, by the way, chime in and clarify the point if I don't represent it accurately. But you got me thinking about this. Couldn't the government, in essence, getting into the business of marijuana, legalizing it, and thus taxing it and everything else, couldn't a behind-the-scenes strategy, if you will, be that we want to use this in order to make the population more docile,
The
more
government
more
is,
passive?
Is it making them more docile in California or Colorado or the places it's been
and
legal?
the
It's not. It's
government's
I don't know.
actually made them
the
more
government's
money.
notorious for screwing things
Oh,
up.
no, yeah, it's made the state
So,
more
so
money.
it's not making anybody docile, but it's making people more money.
Well,
so it's
well,
not making
well,
it
that's not
I want
true.
to add a
It's
little
not
bit.
making it
So
controllable, it's
let's take
making it
something else where the government did
Okay.
introduce, and in my belief, do y'all believe that the government introduced crack cocaine
Yes.
into the communities?
I actually think that's
Do you think there's enough
David wants to disagree.
theories and enough
There's a lot of
of
reading.
content out there to say
I think that was an 80s
perhaps
thing.
that they helped out in there? I mean, we allowed guns to be used and smuggled down south of the border so we can track them, and then it ends up being a muck and ends up border agents being killed and people being murdered by the guns
Oops.
that we allowed to go down there. Could they have allowed an incubator of things to go on to allow crack cocaine
And maybe a war on drugs.
and then the war on drugs?
But you know,
Well, look, I mean,
I
there's-
don't know if the government's going to try to allow us to legalize marijuana in the hopes
I'm
of
not a fan of
numbing
government.
us
So-
And I'm with you.
to-
You know
to
I'm with you
empower.
on
This
that.
is,
But
we're talking about a government that, like, you know, gave people syphilis to, like, want to track it and how it affected
Our
people. Like,
government's notorious for screwing
it's
things up.
horrible.
We had a
government, period, is just evil.
We have a
It's
government
horrible.
that forced sterilization on more than
Yes.
50,000 people prior to Hitler. In fact, a lot of what Hitler did was patterned after the propaganda that our Planned Parenthood roots started here under Margaret Sanger with the forced sterilization of U.S. citizens, right? So yeah, I'm with you on the anti-government sentiment, but you know the thing is, you're, and I'm sorry, I've got to. Let's go back through the names one more time. Your name?
Freddie.
Freddy
Freddie.
Georges.
I was wrong on both counts. I was guessing earlier. Freddie
We called you
Georges
Marvin Gorgeous. Sounds like
and
isn't it,
Judy.
Monica?
Freddie, Judy. Your name again?
I started referring to him as absolutely. So,
All right.
that's,
Did I say absolutely a lot?
no.
Oh,
So we-
absolutely.
So we
Think
have
about
Freddie,
absolutely gorgeous.
Judy,
Absolutely
Joe,
gorgeous.
Monica,
Come on.
and
I was
David.
going to name my daughter Barely.
There you go. Very gorgeous. There you go.
Oh, that's harsh.
So here's the thing. There's a little bit of
Almost.
a misnomer between the parallels you're drawing there on the guns and the drugs things, and I'm going to go on a rabbit trail there. But the thing with what Obama administration did with the putting the guns is they
Right.
purposely put guns in the hands of
Those.
criminals and drug cartels.
Right.
Reagan
They
did
didn't.
that first,
They
though.
didn't. Hold on a minute. I'm going to come back to that. They put it in the hands of drug cartels and criminals. Okay. Now I don't think we need to guess what's going to happen if you take a whole bunch of semi-automatic and automatic weapons and put them in the hands of drug cartels. What's going to happen? Okay. That story about Reagan did this. I addressed that on
I
another
don't think it
show
was
with
Reagan.
another guest. It wasn't Reagan.
I think it was the CIA.
When something happens in an administration,
wanna
I
blame
get
the
it that the
president.
buck stops with the
You
president.
just said Obama. So
But a lot of times
did
the
the
freaking
same thing
president
when
doesn't
they
even
was
know.
admin.
Because the Obama administration with the whole
They
Fast and
specifically had an
Furious,
agenda and they
that
did
was
do it.
Obama's order. If you think that Eric Holder did that without Obama's
Okay.
I'm
Precise
not saying he did it, but
recommendation.
I'm saying there were things in place before Obama ever did that.
I'm not,
crimes
but again, okay, no rabbit trail. The point is, Fast and Furious
Say no to
was
rabbit
an
trails.
Obama administration initiative.
Hashtag.
Okay.
So the agreement is the government does make poor choices.
Yes, they do.
often.
Agreed.
Yes.
And
All the
there
freaking time.
Even when it's an act of the administration, or even if it's not, yes, government. That's the whole point. It is, as Reagan said, it is the cause of our problems, not the bringer of solutions.
Yes.
Right.
But you know,
It-
I mean,
Anybody, I'm just agreeing with that. Anybody who thinks that government is the solution, just come on over and I'll just slap you now. So,
Joe, that's so violent.
No, so I was going to say, like, the big issue with, let's not legalize marijuana, the people that are against it. I mean, if you stop and think about it, so many other things in our lifetime have been illegal. So now everybody's like, oh my God, since birth, it's illegal, it's bad for you. Well, so is alcohol, so are cigarettes, everything else. So just let it be legal. You know what? Everybody has a choice at the end of the day. You can smoke or you don't smoke. You drink, you can not drink. How many people have died of alcohol poison? How many? A
Too
ton.
many.
How many people have died of smoking too much marijuana?
Okay, but the challenge to that question is that you also have to look at rates of usage and prevalence, okay? You're talking about marijuana, which, if you want to be very generous with the estimate, has perhaps 10% of the usage and prevalence of alcohol. So I give the example like this. If you take a bar where alcohol is legally sold and used, right? Let's say you've got 100 people in that bar that are legally buying and consuming alcohol. What percentage of that people is going to get behind their car and drive home legally intoxicated, okay? As opposed to if you had a marijuana bar under the same auspices, right? There's going to be a much higher rate of people driving home legally intoxicated to the point they can't operate an automobile.
Time out. That's where human responsibility comes in.
No, I agree with
because now
that.
we have rideshare. Like, I can
That's
go
like
somewhere to have a good time,
Okay, but
and
wait.
I don't necessarily have to get back
But
on
Monica,
the road.
before we go back to that,
Responsibility
this
individually.
is my point. All I'm saying with this, I am so pro individual responsibility. It can't be measured.
Please stop yelling at me.
But before, no, I'm only speaking loud because you don't want to speak at the microphone. I'm not yelling at you. I
There's
promise.
so many more people that drink than smoke marijuana.
Exactly right.
Right.
The size of the pool is
Yeah.
much larger. So
So you're still gonna have
when
less
you look
driving.
at agreed, but and then the other thing is now this is something. And by the way, shout out to my cousin,
Cushion.
to my
We got
cousin.
Have some more wine.
Josh Sanders, who you've already said we need to get on the show.
Yes.
He's awesome. I love
I was just
Josh.
going to say, I didn't even make that connection again, but he's making
Look at
some
that.
great
He's
points.
He's shouting out to me. I like you
What do
keeping
y'all
on
think
track,
God
David.
would say?
Yes.
What would God
Josh
say,
is awesome.
Tex, about drinking?
Josh
It's the
Sanders.
same thing.
What do y'all
Tex.
think God would say?
Yeah, Tex. What
God
does God
said
say
it
about
in the
drinking
Bible,
beer?
as far as we know.
I-
He said it's good. He grew it.
I think he would say, like and share the show.
Yes.
So God does have a statement on
Just
this.
my unbiased opinion.
God's at football
You know,
games.
Well, listen. Let me finish that point
Sure.
real quick, and then I know I'm taking a lot of time. So, Josh and I have been having an ongoing dialogue with this because he's on the pro side as well, and I introduced him to a video that introduced him to some things he wasn't aware of. Use of marijuana actually scientifically changes the shape and structure and cell count of your brain. It has been proven to lower IQ. It's a neurotoxin. There is no safe dose for this. So here's all I'm saying. People, even on my side of the aisle, because I'm a constitutionalist, I'm third party. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I think they're the same party. Okay, just so you know where I'm coming from. So, but there's people who tend to agree with me that on this issue, they're willing to throw me off the cliff because they hear me say marijuana may be dangerous and they think I'm all pro-regulation, all this. I'm saying time out, back up, take a deep breath. Let's get the facts straight on what does this thing do first. It's a neurotoxin. Break that word down. That means brain poison.
Okay,
It's a
let's talk
toxin.
about cocaine though. What's the studies on cocaine? You're ruining
Which
your
is illegal?
Okay, it's illegal.
What does alcohol do?
What does it do to your neurotoxins? What does alcohol, heroin, crack? What are all
Muscle
these
relaxers.
other things do to your
Xanax.
neuro
What is
relaxers?
Xanax?
Yeah, and I'm
but
on
they're
board with that.
legal, so that's my point, and I love your
I
point.
agree.
And
No,
everything
I
you
agree
say.
with that.
But you said, let's look at the study on the neuro. It's like, cool. You want to point out this neuro? Let's point out the other 6
Well,
that
even-
are fine.
even
That
on the-
housewives, and it's not even saving people. These other things, Xanax, Adderall, whatever these other things are that are illegal, they are not helping people with cancer. It's not helping them to eat. It's not helping them to do anything else. Forget about the people who want to do it recreationally.
Yeah.
Let's not
You're talking about just
those.
medical.
I
know.
want to
Alright.
be clear. I want to be clear on my position, if I may.
No.
What's wrong with you, Nazi?
Who all wants to see Joe
Show's over.
wear
Just said no. Show's over.
Who all
That's
wants to see,
it. You're out of here.
who all wants to see Joe wear a
Security!
purple,
There's a door.
Security.
who wants to see Joe wear a purple swimmer's cap?
You're about to be gorgeous somewhere else.
Yeah,
Get
great
out of here.
cap.
Go ahead, Freddie. We're going to address some audience comments here right after Freddie clarifies his position.
Are people
So,
watching this?
oh yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm not advocating go and smoke every day.
Oh, yes, you are. Come on.
Yeah.
You know,
You said that to me before the
I'm
show.
not going
Right
out.
before the show, he was like, I just think everybody needs to smoke weed every
He
day.
invited
Where-
all of
Hey,
us.
he even said, "Do you have one? Let's smoke one out."
Right, he was
Yeah,
asking, he was
cookie.
hitting me up for a joint.
He said they were
He
pre-show
brought
cookies.
brownies.
I'm not advocating
Got brownies in the
irresponsibility.
room.
Hey,
I'm not
Tom, but give me a
advocating
brownie.
irresponsibility.
Right.
I'm not advocating lack of self-control.
All right.
Okay, because all those can be abused with anything. I could abuse that with a Snickers bar and have lack of self-control.
I have, look
True
at
And,
story.
You know,
Especially after smoking weed.
especially after smoking.
Yeah,
Munchies,
the
you know.
chocolate.
And what would God say about this? God would say about alcohol, you know, don't be a drunkard.
Yes.
That's what he would
Yeah,
say.
he would.
Hey, well, you know what?
He would also say,
That's a clinkable.
That's a great
That's
point.
a
That's a
clinkable.
clinkable point.
That's thinkable.
That's a clinkable point.
Thinkable.
His first miracle
well,
as a man here on earth was to make wine. I'm just going to point
he
that
would
out.
also say, have a glass of wine. 'cause it
Ask me
helps
about my wine club. I'm
because
just
it
saying.
helps with the digestive system.
Also grown from the earth.
Well, you know,
Grapes.
all that can be stretched out to your beliefs and your values. But he said, don't be a drunkard,
Very true.
okay?
Good.
And anything that impairs you will make you a drunkard. Marijuana
Very true.
will make you a drunkard.
Some
Okay.
difference, yeah.
Anything that's done in an
Is he coming from the
excessiveness,
con standpoint here?
anything done in excessiveness is gluttony.
Right.
So did Adam and Eve eat too many apples?
The fact that they
One
ate
too many.
from the tree of knowledge, the forbidden fruit,
Right.
was their sin. So I'm not advocating to be a drunkard. What I'm advocating is we've tried it this way for so many years, making it illegal.
filled our
Are we
prisons.
any better? And what if let's go ahead and do a social experiment because obviously we don't have the answer right now.
We've been a social
And if we
experiment.
remove
We
the
have been a
criminal
social
element, if we
experiment.
remove the criminal element, we take the power away from the criminals. I tell my daughter, if you've done something wrong, just confess it to me, and it no longer has power over you.
That's right.
If you decriminalize a certain amount of usage of marijuana or the availability of it, you've taken the criminal aspect out of it.
But
They
the
don't
empirical,
want to.
The criminal behavior.
but the empirical evidence speaks directly against what you're saying because the legalization of marijuana in the states where it's been legalized, and particularly for recreational use, has actually exasperated the criminal element. It's actually increased. That's actually what's been happening.
Is that
There's
right?
there's more activity of the drug cartels. Now, let me
The drug
argue against
cartels
myself
are
for a
working
second.
The
harder
drug
when
cartels
it's
in
legal.
All right.
Denver, Colorado.
Yeah,
All right, pause for a second.
yeah.
I want to take some time. We're 40 minutes plus into the show, so I want to take some
This is
time.
awesome discussion, guys.
Yeah, I want to take some time to bring the audience into this and mention a couple stuff here, a couple points. Tex, thanks for joining the show. Josh, thanks for your continued great comments. Tex said, why should the safety of my family be subject to someone else's responsibility that wants to alter their mind? Is that sound judgment? Yes or no?
So who in here has driven home with a buzz from any substance?
What's a buzz?
Wine, alcohol.
Fine.
So
Fifth
if you
Amendment.
have
I agree
not,
with Monica.
Fifth
What's a
Amendment.
buzz?
Fifth
If-
Amendment. That's what I will say.
There you
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
if,
Thank
For
you,
the sake-
government. Thank you, government.
if you've
For
never
the
done that,
sake of my future political career, I will reject your questions.
Until I've
I've never had alcohol or marijuana. Either one.
I've never drank wine.
I'm going to say that we've all been irresponsible
And for the
and
sake of
driven
the
home with a buzz.
and for the sake of my life insurance
Yeah.
premium, I refuse to answer your question.
Absolutely.
You know,
Let me address it this way. The video that
And
I
I don't
referenced
smoke
earlier,
cigars, despite all the pictures you might see on my feed.
I had introduced my cousin Josh to this video, and what it talked about was one of the physical effects it has on the brain. And I'm sorry, I can't. This is from the hit show.
I believe it.
All right.
But let me say this. Let me
Go ahead,
finish.
go ahead.
Because it actually, the part of the brain that it affects the most, it enlarges a part of the brain that has to do with reward and all this kind of stuff, and it produces a great feeling, right? And you would think because it enlarges whatever this part of the brain is called, that would be a good thing. But what this video pointed out is it's actually a bad thing, And it reinforces the notion of those who talk about marijuana and detract from it because it is a gateway drug. It makes you more prone to addiction. And what you see, what's been happening in states where marijuana has been legalized is the driving under the influence incidents. For the first time ever in the history of the United States, the people who are driving under the influence that test positive for marijuana, legally intoxicated, not just have it in their system,
Right.
legally intoxicated, has surpassed, I'm sorry, that's total number of drugs. Marijuana was a greater percentage of that, but it was total number of drugs, opiates, cocaine, everything. But drugs, DUIs, surpassed alcohol DUIs. Now, in the majority of the cases of the drug DUIs, it was a combination. Alcohol, some other drug, and marijuana.
Okay.
So that's what we're seeing. And here's my question to bring this all home. The question I would ask you guys, I talked to Randall about this earlier, is, if we suddenly saw that drinking wine caused an 80% jump in the total number of DUIs and deaths by DUIs, would that cause us to rethink alcohol? I have to confess that for me, it would.
It hasn't. Over the history of alcohol, it has not.
Because the rates have stayed the same for
No,
alcohol.
it hasn't.
Yes, it has.
No, the rates have not stayed the same for alcohol and driving
No, we're going
drunk.
to disagree on
Yeah.
that.
All right, hang on.
I'm gonna agree with you.
Hang on. I wanted to finish a couple points. Go back to the comments here on people making comments. We've had some great comments throughout. Josh chimed in. He said, "Extreme stress, physical abuse, and verbal abuse also cause change to your brain permanently."
Which is all bad
Right.
things.
Now, I will
But
make.
extreme stress, who doesn't have
That's a
that?
good
Wait.
point, Josh.
Should we
Wait,
make
wait.
extreme stress legal?
Right, but hang on.
My job does plenty.
I wanted to go back here because
Josh.
Randall made a comment. He said, "Eat 12 donuts, and it also has an effect on your brain." Or should those be illegal? He's like, "It's a silly argument." Hang on, though.
Sweet and low.
Right. Well, hang on. There is a substantial point to be made here, and I think people are glossing over it or perhaps missing it. Physical abuse is not allowed. Right? It's illegal. Right? And probably getting to some verbal abuse and some other things that may be also, like from a parental standpoint, child abuse and that sort of thing would definitely start crossing the line. Extreme stress, that's really hard to measure,
Right.
From a legal standpoint. But things that alter the brain, to David's point, David is saying that, look, alcohol affects the brain, but it doesn't have a long-term neurological impact on the brain.
Correct.
Yes,
Right.
it does.
No, it doesn't. It does not.
Yeah, no, I know that one. It doesn't. It kills cells. I mean, so if you
Okay,
want
so that's not our logic.
I was gonna
If it's
say,
killing
I was
cells.
going to say, I'll
But-
give you
Telling
that.
them.
Well, you can have here's the point, because I talked about this with Randall earlier, and I'll be quick. You can, yes, us drinking wine is killing brain cells right now, but it doesn't surpass the level that we replace and replenish those cells. You have to drink each of us would have to down a bottle of wine in an hour in the course of the show to reach a level that we're killing brain cells faster than we can replenish them.
Challenge
Okay,
That's
but
not irreversible.
let me talk to you.
Yeah,
though,
challenge
one second.
accept, I
Okay.
agree.
Okay, so
Listen,
let
David.
me have one concept one time. Okay, so let's talk about the
Okay.
consumption of things inside of our bodies, physically.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the mental consumption. What about the junk that we watch? Is that
Oh,
not
yeah.
also changing
Absolutely.
us psychologically and physiologically?
Garbage in, garbage out.
That's what
Online
I'm saying.
pornography.
Thank you. Okay,
Oh.
well talk
Absolutely.
about it. Talk about it, gorgeous.
That is.
Well, what we put in our minds definitely.
Listen, that is,
It's a toxin.
It absolutely is a
Thank you. That's what I'm
toxin.
saying. But do you actually?
Scientifically, it
No.
absolutely
Comes in
impacts
here.
and changes our brain.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank
So,
you. Thank you.
There's a lot of ways we can impact our brain.
There's
I'm
people who drink a lot and commit suicide
Thank
because they've drank so much, they're so depressed, and other stuff that are other factors.
That brings another point on
And
marijuana
then-
I'll come back to later.
No, that makes it even. You
Yeah,
can't
that
put
actually.
It makes
So
sense.
listen,
Thank you.
this
I agree
is
with
this
you on
is
that.
this is where I'll chime in and a little bit of my position revealed on this argument, which I'm trying to do
Shame
better
on
about
you, Joe.
staying away from, is that okay? So I know it does. I know that marijuana increases the firing distance between synapses in the brain. Long term, it actually scientifically, it's a proven thing, slows down your thought process over the long term. It is a fact. I can demonstrate that beyond a shadow of a doubt, especially with prolonged use. I can also, to Freddie's point, demonstrate how scientifically your brain is altered by pornography, right? Over the long-term use of it, it
That's right.
affects how you think, how you see the world, etc. Right? So all that's the case.
I had a bill, that I was pushing for anti-pornography.
So
Yeah.
so listen. So all of that is the case. My question then, this is where my libertarian streak comes out, in freedom, in saying, to the point that you want to destroy your own life, how much should you be allowed to, right? And at the point at which now you step across that line and impact my life, is where I start having a problem, right? And where there's a measurable line, like if you really want to slow your brain down and just be a retard, forgive me for the bad word, I know it's not like it's a PC word anymore, right? You want to be a goofball and slow your brain process down, and you want to smoke weed and sit on the couch all day and everything else, great. But at the point at which you say, I can't get a job and I need welfare,
Okay, let me jump
now
in.
I got a problem.
Okay, now
I've
let
got
me
a
jump
problem
in.
too.
Now let me
or you're
jump
gonna
in.
wipe
Hang
out my
on.
family
Now
on the
let me
road.
jump in. So
Right.
are you adding a correlation between smoking and being a pothead user and no success? Because I can quote, or we could look and we can Google up people that smoke
Absolutely.
weed every day, all day, and
You
their
know what?
neurotoxins are being messed with.
I
and
can cite people
psychological-
that did a YouTube.
She has a
sensation-
question, by the way, so I want to
YouTube
address it.
sensation, then just made millions of dollars.
They're a YouTube
We can
sensation. That
quote,
doesn't- it's not the same thing.
A one-hit wonder.
One hit wonder, not the same thing as what I just said.
It is in the
It's
way
not.
that you're giving isolated
Okay, hang
incidents
on.
of success.
Okay, actually, that's a great point.
What's not?
Hang on. That's both of you guys. That was a great point, great question,
I'm
great,
gonna hit him. I'm gonna
great
hit
point.
gorgeous. I'm gonna hit gorgeous.
great point. Okay, so her question is: look, I know people who smoke regularly, whatever, use regularly, and they're successful, etc. Right? So, are you trying to relate smoking pot to being unsuccessful?
That's not a cause and effect. The cause and effect is that person that's successful and still smokes pot could be actually maybe more successful if they have not, but also because they smoke pot is not the reason that they're successful. And their
also
success
not a hindrance.
probably has nothing to do with them smoking or not smoking pot.
It's also
just,
not a hindrance.
They're just a high-driven individual. Success is measured by your drive, your passion.
Okay, but how many
Not
individuals
by
who
the
are
fact-
successful have died from a cocaine overdose versus
Oh,
how
wow.
many have died over a marijuana
Okay,
overdose?
but I'll trump that on
Trump
that
it.
point. Okay, and that's no reference to
He
Trump.
said the
He
T
said
word!
Trump.
He said the T word!
And then we all go off.
Because now we're talking about something that's quantifiable, and this is where I come to on my point where I could see myself as being pro-government regulation against marijuana. Okay, and again, my position on this, I know I'm classified as con, but my real position is we need to get accurate information. There is so much disinformation being put out there, and I'm going to say this: the majority is on the pro side of people who want to legalize marijuana. There is a very active lobby out there right now wanting to legalize marijuana. But here's the quantifiable result, okay, in just one aspect. And what that result is that what we're seeing in traffic deaths related to marijuana. And I'm sorry, at some point when you see that with only 10% of the prevalence, when you look at think in your mind just for a second, everything slow down just for a second. Think of all the places
Probably
you
I'll
can-
take a hit right now.
you can buy
That's what he's
alcohol.
saying.
Hold on, seriously. Think about all the places you can buy alcohol. Sporting events, stadiums, bars, restaurants, country clubs. I mean, everywhere you can, grocery store, all the places you can buy alcohol. And then the very few places throughout the country, it's only legal in recreational terms in not even a quarter of the states. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know the stats on that.
Yeah, I think about a
So
quarter is about right.
I think I'm being generous in saying that we're talking about maybe 10% of the prevalence and availability and use, and yet already we're seeing that drug-related deaths, not accidents, deaths on the highway where someone's stoned on marijuana and some mixture of something else wiped out a family or another individual
But
or
what is
person.
it about the legalization between, like, in the last couple of years, do you think it's different than before? Because before, they were all claiming no one hardly had accidents or did anything, but
Because
all
it
of a
goes-
sudden it's...
it
No,
goes
because
back
they
to
started
that-
tracking it. No,
No,
it's
no.
only because they started
It's not
tracking
because
it.
no, that's
yes,
not
it did.
true.
If you track everything else, it's going
Okay,
to track higher
so here's what
than
I'm not
that
going to do. I'm
marijuana
not going to get
person.
into what
Because
I'm saying.
they're driving into you like this.
No, they're not. They're
And
getting
they're in
on
the Jack in the
road.
Box
You
parking
shouldn't
lot.
be buzz driving. You shouldn't be high driving.
You
But hold on a
shouldn't,
minute.
but people still do it.
I'm-
There
I'm
are a
gonna-
bunch
You
of
should be
things
texting and
that
driving.
people shouldn't do.
Should be
Texting
I
and
know,
texting
driving.
and
but
driving.
okay,
Texting
let
and
me say
driving
something on
is
that
more
point.
dangerous.
Hold on.
Hold on. Let
Hold
me
on.
finish
Everybody's
this
talking
point.
over everybody.
Let me finish this point. Because even to your point on texting and driving, do you realize that distracted driving is only 10% of all the traffic fatalities, and that the phone, not just texting, phone, is only 10% of all traffic fatalities?
Are you
And
sure
yet-
you didn't have the answer to this question before
No,
we
no,
got here?
I've just been
You've
following
got a
these.
lot of information
Yeah.
that you're
I do.
sharing.
I have been
It's
following
recent.
this information because to me it strikes me as odd that with all the forms of distracted driving you can have, talking to passengers in the car, the radio, sightseeing, daydreaming, whatever it can be,
We've had all
that
those
we're
things.
focusing on the phone.
We've had all those
right?
things before the phone was around.
But wait a minute, but that's my point.
But they chose to make
They
the phone
chose
illegal.
to focus on the
Yeah.
phone.
Because
Why?
of money.
Because everything's in here.
Because of money.
Right, my financial information, my friends, my associates, my
But it was a
social
thing
media,
that
all
was
that
major.
stuff.
So-
but that was a thing that was majorly
So
impacted.
let me finish the point.
Go ahead.
So
I'm
here's
going to
the
ask a
thing.
follow-up question as soon as you finish.
What I'm saying is that if we're seeing this disproportionate rate of traffic fatalities, that's just one aspect of marijuana use, right? So we're seeing this disproportionate rate of traffic fatalities. If you protract that out to marijuana being legalized in all 50 states, you're talking about 10 to 15 times the number of deaths on the highway. I'm sorry, at some point, that is not a liberty I want to reinforce because again, if it comes back to what I'm saying being true, that this is a neurotoxin with no safe dose, you're not talking about a fair comparison between marijuana and alcohol. You're talking about a neurotoxin that lends itself to other addictions that's killing people who are choosing not to partake in your freedom. That is where I draw the line.
It's
Your
a
freedom has now crossed
neurotoxin,
over
but your
to wipe
issue-
out my
It's a
family.
neurotoxin that's also helping people with cancer. So you show me the other neurotoxins.
That's a separate topic.
It's not.
But I'm hearing your biggest issue is
Okay,
again
so-
people on the road.
Yeah,
I'm just citing that as one example.
Not everybody's going to
But
drive.
let me
by.
say this.
And why not put a blower in everybody's car?
Since
we have an
Kill it.
Uber. We have
Since you
Uber.
brought
we
up the
have
medical
Lyft.
aspect, let me say this. The medical aspect, even in that regard, we have to recognize that when marijuana is prescribed medically, it still has side effects that doctors must weigh on that individual patient.
But everything has side effects.
And
I'm
you
not
know,
denying that.
All right,
That's
hang
not
on.
the point.
Also,
That's
also
not
any
a
prescription you
consideration.
get will have a warning saying may cause
Yes.
drowsiness.
Let me ask
Or
you.
whatever it may
Let me
cause
ask-
psychosis.
Hang on. Let me
And
ask
people
a
still abuses
question.
it.
Let me ask a question.
Ask
All
a
right.
question, Joe.
What?
Should
No, everybody listen. Joe has a question.
Joe has a question.
I do
Joe
get
has a
wound up
question.
a little bit.
should texting be while driving be illegal?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
All
And
pros.
then by show of hands, who's
All pros.
texted and drove?
I no
Google
longer. I
Maps.
try my best
Google
not to
Maps.
because I have ruined all four rims on my car.
From texting and driving?
Okay.
So,
Why?
as a good parent, we'll say,
What were you doing?
do as I say,
Texting.
not as I do.
No, because
I
I'm
don't do
consistent
that.
with that.
Where
That
I'm-
would have been me killing somebody.
Not everyone should be operating a radio while they drive. Not everyone should have passengers in their car while they drive.
Hang
Not
on.
everyone should eat food while they drive.
Right.
It's
Hang
about
on.
the
Eating
individual
and
ability
driving,
to
yeah.
do it.
Or
Right.
putting on makeup.
So-
I've seen a lot of
I don't
girls.
do it.
Here's
Yeah.
here's where I was going with this
Whatever.
thought.
I don't.
Yeah.
I promise.
Here's where I was going with this thought.
Where were you going, Joe?
If we're okay with the government getting involved in regulating something as benign as texting,
I don't
right?
think it's benign.
all right?
No.
Then why
That's his
aren't
point.
yeah, then why are we okay with weed being
Because
legal, which
weed
far
isn't the
greater
same as
impacts
texting.
the
Because there are
texting.
more
Well,
people
you-
texting and driving
I don't
than
think-
there are more
I don't think
people
anybody in this
smoking
panel,
weed.
pro or con, is
Everybody has a
advocating
cell
for.
phone.
Hang on.
No one's
Don't
advocating
talk.
for weed and driving. Nobody's advocating
No,
for that.
definitely not.
Nobody's advocating for.
And why not?
None of that. Because
Well,
it's
because
not
it's
I'm
you know.
kidding.
You're
I'm
the
kidding.
moderator. The moderator.
Somebody commented.
I'm just trying to throw out different points here. Well, why aren't you?
Randall
Look
says
at
the number
Randall.
one cause of traffic
Way to go, Randall.
fatalities is not
Test
texting.
Oh, I know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
He said
Randall.
David was wrong. Way to go.
Randall just made up that blog post real quick.
Hey, Randall, by the
Just
way,
so you can oppose us.
He's right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Randall, you said wrong, David. See article. Actually, he just said that exact thing. That texting isn't the number one cause of fatality.
It's not even the number one cause of distracted driving fatalities.
Yeah, it's actually a very small percentage.
But it's so new, though. That's what I'm saying. The other things that we're talking about are old. They've been around.
Right.
Texting and cell phones is a new science
You
and new
know,
data.
so we should make a law
It's
of
new.
it's against the law to be irresponsible.
Let's talk about the
There you
data.
go.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey,
That's
let's
what-
talk
that's a
about
law
the
we should
data
really
when
pass.
we had
It's
It's
pagers.
against the law to be irresponsible.
Joe, you need a
Hey.
hammer.
If you had
Yeah.
a blower
Hey,
on
hey,
everybody's
let's-
car, that
Let's
would
talk,
solve
let's
a lot
talk
of
about
it.
when we had
Hold on.
pagers.
So
Time out,
hang
Hey,
on.
were we paging and driving distracted? No, we weren't.
hang
Nobody
on.
You
outlawed
pulled
pagers.
over to a payphone.
Girl,
Joe has
Hang
something
on.
to say. Joe
This
has something
is,
to say.
and this is y'all are making my point. At what point do we stop being okay with government crawling in our business to regulate? Y'all are all perfectly fine with like a cop trying to figure out what I'm doing with my phone if I'm texting or not. Exactly
Only
how
if
does
you
that
get in
happen?
an accident.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
That's but hold on.
But-
Time out. That's not the law.
No.
That's not the law
They
that's
just
been
pull
passed.
you over.
If I'm driving down the road and I pick up my phone to look at what time it is and put it down and a cop sees me, he can pull me over. And that's what I try to tell people on social media and everywhere is think about this. How does this play out? You're driving down the road, you're looking at your phone, and you put it down, but the cop saw you looking at your phone.
Well,
the law
I'm-
is, hold on, the law is if he saw it in your hand, he can pull you over and ticket you. It's not related to any other illegal activity. It's not related to an accident. It's not even related to you changing lanes unsafely. He saw you with your phone, and imagine how that traffic stop goes. Sir, I saw you driving with your phone in your hand. No, I wasn't. Hand me your phone. Oh, wow. So they get to confiscate your phone now, right? Because they saw it in your hand. But that's what you guys, and I'm not trying to demean you, but I'm saying that's what you guys have been advocating by buying into this public campaign about texting and driving. Look at what they were doing about it. It's always the same. To go into Joe's point, because I read your mind, when government starts to take up a cause, it's not about the cause. It's not about safety.
Yeah.
It's about this.
And you know
And
what?
control.
A lot of times, good intentions is the most destructive force.
They use good intentions
The
to
road
take
hell
control
is
of our
paved
lives.
With good intentions.
That's
Correct.
exactly
the way
right.
the saving goes.
we are at the end of the show.
No,
This
say
show
that
is-
true.
No,
Yes.
hold on. That can't be right.
Have I given my plug in yet?
So let's
I
go
don't
to
know.
let's go to after the
I
wine.
didn't
All right.
get to say who I
So
work with.
so here's the
That's a great.
the fun part of the show is that we still get to have the show after the show. And
After show.
we will still sit around and drink and talk about the subject after the show. So if you want to be on the show and experience this great fun, drop me a line. I will tell you.
The show may need more bulls and more heifers.
Call me a heifer.
You will want to contact me as soon as you can to be on the show because I tell you we're booked up until October. October. If you want to be on the show, it's like 2 months out. So it's growing in popularity.
Booking 2018 right
Yeah,
now.
right.
Joe,
Right.
can I put a plug in for my show?
Yeah, of course.
So every Monday,
As long as it doesn't conflict with mine, you're good.
Monday.
I will beat
Monday.
you down otherwise.
every Monday through Friday from 9 to 10, I'm at Berry Hill in the Heights. It's a coffee networking event. And if we get a chance, we'll pull away and we'll do a Facebook Live and we'll talk about your business. So if you're a business owner out there and you want to have access to my 10,600 audience through Facebook Live on He's Young Professionals, come Berry Hill, 9 to 10, and just show up and we'll talk.
Awesome.
Shameless plug at the end of the show. How you like that?
Yes.
There we go. So at the end of the show, we always rate the wine. We thank you guys for tuning in to be a part of the show. I can't reiterate this enough.
Randall's talking and texting. He's trying. I meant right. David was right. I meant right. I love you, Randall. You're awesome, dude.
Pull over, Randall.
Oh my
pull
God.
over.
Randall, pull over, go text and drive.
Hashtag hypocrite.
pull over.
That's hilarious.
Oh, Randall's
So you
awesome.
walked on the
Were
show
you
like
just in
that?
the building, Randall?
I'm crying and I'm
Didn't
laughing.
you just leave?
You're so bad, Randall. Yes. No. For the sake of Randall's attorney and
Don't
his
prove David's point.
and his future political career, he actually pulled over.
He
and
has
was
no career.
he was very safely parked on the side of the road.
Disclaimer.
chiming away.
He was just kidding.
Yes,
He's
it was
also
all
had
cheap jokes, yeah,
Big
nothing to worry
joke,
about.
Randall.
All right.
What an awesome show.
Oh,
I've had
my
more fun on this show than any other one, guys. Thank you. Y'all are awesome.
Well, you're welcome. I'm glad to make that happen.
You did make it. It was all you, brother.
Okay, so I want to again, guys. This is a mission. All right, this show costs me money at this point. I spend money on this show. So this is not about making money. I'm on a mission. America needs this kind of dialogue, this kind of interaction with disagreeing viewpoints, and doing it over a great glass of wine and having a good time together. It's okay. We can freaking disagree. I promise you won't die.
And we'll still be friends.
You're right. You're not going to grow a
I'll never talk
disagreed
to half
tumor
these people again, but
and
we'll be
die.
friends.
It's not going to happen. Yes, after today,
It's
you
not
won't.
a tumor.
It's not a tumor. You won't grow a disagreed
my
tumor
God.
and die. So please.
It's just a doobie.
Says the
The ball hit
con
us
guy.
ahead.
It's not a tumor. It's just a
All right, we get
doobie.
free bongs from Joe after the show.
Yes, thanks for tuning in.
This brought to you by Colorado.
Yes, this show is brought to you
California,
by
sorry,
Bongs R Us.
By California wine and marijuana.
Yes. Did you hear that when I said that the show is brought to you by Bongs R Us? Yeah.
Hey, hold on while I roll
We
this
get
up.
out.
Yes.
Is that a zigzag paper? These are made out of? Oh my god.
So I want to thank you
Acapulco.
guys for tuning into the show and being a part of the show. This is a mission. I can't stress how important it is. Please like and share the show. Introduce the show to your friends. Go to our shopping thing that I just set up on our page this last week.
Grape heads.
Pre-order your I'm a Grapehead shirt and be a part of the mission of saving America one civil conversation at a time. It's super important. Be a part of that cause. We're going to rate this awesome wine, Bull and Heifer. I've never had a wine called Bull and Heifer in my life.
I
So,
had it, but it wasn't a wine.
pretty... Wow!
That was hilarious.
That's why I'm not allowed on live shows.
Is it getting a little warm in here? Is it just me? I'm just saying.
You should branch out.
All right. All right, so we're going to rate Bull and Heifer Cabernet Sauvignon from Lodi, California. And Freddie, what do you think of this wine?
I give it a 4.
A 4. All right. And
Now, what's
Judy.
the highest? What's the lowest?
5 is high, 1 is low.
Did you say hi?
Yes, you want to get high? You want to get high?
She said hi.
Okay.
And we're 12.
I gave it a 3. In the
Give it
middle,
a
of the,
3.
it was middle of the road for me, but
Okay.
I'm more of a Cabernet drinker. So
Okay, all right.
But it was good.
For me, I am giving this, I can't, I always have to
4.5.
give- a 4.5.
Oh, there's a house.
I really liked it. Opening up, like the first glass was not as good to me, but once it had been open a while and aired out, really kind of mellowed and had a really nice finish.
Now, it's better than the last one that you gave us outside.
Well, we have
We
pre-show
That was the
wine.
primer.
Don't be a hater, Freddie.
That's what contributed to the show being
Right.
so good.
Right?
Yes. I'm still trying to get Black Box on board for sponsors. So
I'm right here.
don't-
Oh, that is just wrong. That
Bada
was
bing!
wrong.
Yeah. Where's the
Oh,
drum
man,
roll?
alive.
No
Wow.
one has to guess. I'll give
Okay,
it
we
4.
were trying to be PG. You just took us straight
Wow.
to X, woman.
I took
Holy
you to 4
mackerel.
grapes.
That's a destination. Welcome to 4 Grapes.
I had already done this before Joe had put it on his, but he did steal my thunder a little bit. I'm 4.5, and I tell you what, this was. I have not done a 5 yet, but I was really pleasantly
there.
surprised by that. This was right there, and on the notes it did state how it's good with steak or chicken, which is unusual, right?
Because people eat both.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
usually red wine is more the steak, and the white wine is usually more chicken. But this, I gotta say, I could see it. It was fantastic. It was very drinkable, balanced, just fantastic. Good stuff right there.
That's good stuff.
Ken, thanks for tuning in. I can't even pronounce that. How do you say that? Chetkila?
Chetkila.
Chetkila, thanks for tuning in. Ed, thanks for tuning in, buddy.
Bye,
Always
Ed.
good to see
Okay.
you.
Angela, MC, thank you.
Angela, thanks for tuning in. Lamont, thanks for tuning in. Guys, thanks for being a part of the show. Like and share the show. Be a part of the cause of saving America, one simple conversation at a time. We will see you here next Friday. Be sure to go to the events. Get your reminder, sign up for the event next Friday. So you'll get a reminder for the show, and share the event to your friends so that they can also get a reminder for the show and be here next week and be a part of the show. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week, Friday at 5. We're
Salute,
out.
great
Bye.
Woo! Music! No
Music.
We want some
Music.
dancing
Y'all
music
ready
to
for
go out
this?
to.
Yes.
I tried.
Awesome, guys.
Woo!
Great job, man.
Very good.
Yes!
Awesome. Freaking awesome.
That was
Good.
friggin'
That was
here we go.
That was
Yeah,
freaking
yeah.
Man alive.
You're not